conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
And good morning. I'm Reverend Allie Benjamin, and this is Growing Edge Live with Allie. I am so glad that you're here today. Whether you're live with us, my husband Michael and I, or you're watching this as a replay, I'm so glad that you're here. We are live here at Unity Village in Missouri and super excited to be at the conference or the retreat with the affiliated New Thought Network. Michael and I have been coming for years and years, and we're going to take some time to share a little bit about our experience here at Unity Village, this amazing thousands of acres campus of awesomeness, and our connection with the affiliated New Thought Network. But before that, I want to welcome you. Growing Edge Live are programs that highlight individuals, soul-centered individuals that have shared their life, their time, their talent, their resources, their creativity with the world to make an impact, to make a difference. We have conversations with individuals from all walks of life that are touching hearts and transforming lives. And so today we've got an amazing guest. His name's Bobby, and you'll get to meet him in just a little bit. So welcome to Growing Edge Live. I trust that wherever you are, you have some time to visit with us this morning and to hear a little bit about what's going on at the very growing edge, the growing edge of your own becoming and the growing edge of what we're doing here. So I'm Allie.
And I'm Michael.
And we are super excited to be here at the affiliated New Thought Network annual retreat.
And here at Unity Village.
Yeah.
Which is such an amazing venue. The history is palpable here. The 24-hour a day practitioner work, prayer treatment work that's been going on for, I'm going to have to say, 150 years or something along those lines. And it is palpable. And so love every time that we come and we make the journey here, we're quickly reminded that it's such a grounding place to build consciousness, really.
Yeah, it's a sacred place. It really is. And the Fillmores founded this, I believe. I'm not part of the Unity movement on a regular basis. I don't know the history, but I know Reverend Bobby. He has been. He's worked here for years, and he'll be able to fill us in on the details.
Yeah, it's an amazing history here. And even without being the students of the history, when you walk the campus, when you walk the property, the intention, the consciousness, the energy is immutable, really.
Yeah, so I think this is our fifth time here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Sixth.
And we love it. We come a couple days early usually, and there's tons of hiking trails, which is one of our favorite things to do. We've seen all kinds of wildlife. We've seen tortoises, turtles, snakes, lots of hawk, wild birds, and so we're looking forward to that. But more importantly, we're here with the affiliated New Thought Network and Anton, many people know it as, and the whole leadership team is here. Reverend Jerry Troyer, who is the current president. We're super excited. I've had him on the show here before. We've got to know Jerry and so many other amazing people that we've known for almost 30 years now. And so super excited.
And also Emerson Theological Institute's in town.
It is.
And here as part of the affiliated New Thought Network. And on Thursday, there's going to be a lot of people graduating, celebrating the completion or the beginning of something new.
Yeah, the Emerson Theological Institute is an amazing school that supports many people in getting advanced degrees in theology, consciousness studies, doctors of divinity, practitioner, minister credentials. And we've been working our way through Michael is, you're going to be graduating.
I am, as are you.
We both are,
Yeah,
and Michael
so-
is getting his ordination. He's
Yeah.
going to become ordained here on campus. Clap, clap, clap.
Yeah, sure am.
And
And actually, Allie's getting her doctorate, and my credentials were done a year or two ago, and we decided to walk together, and so we're actually celebrating that as we go through service on Thursday afternoon. We're doing that together, so it's going to be a beautiful time for us as a family, and also as a couple. But the evolution of our ministry is continuing. So we're pleased to be here, enthused to be here. And it's going to be just a beautiful week. The temperatures are ideal, and the beloved community is all showing up. And so we've been reuniting with colleagues all over the country, and it's just been an amazing start to a great week.
yeah, and we've got some amazing keynote speakers. I don't know the whole list, but I know Jafon Seeley is going to be here, and Daniel Namaud,
Yeah.
and his partner, I think it's Patel, is going to be here, and they're going to be playing music throughout the entire week. And I'm not sure who else, but we'll find out.
Oh, and this venue, I mean, just so many amazing speakers that have come through, even people from Unity Village, and it's just such a great modeling, really, of the coming together of traditions that speak similar language, that honor each other's path, and it couldn't be modeled any better than what I've experienced here for the years that we've come together. The love and the support that we have for each other, the financial contributions that are made to each other's organizations, it's just touching, really.
Yeah, because Anton really is a network that supports all of the New Thought movement. And so we've got people from Divine Science here, Unity, CSL, and Anton and Emerson folk, and individuals that have their own independent centers. And so it's a real opportunity to network, to see what's going on in other spiritual communities, and a chance to get away and to nourish your soul. And so we're really excited to be here and to be graduating and to see our friends. Because some of these people we've known for 30 years, but we only see them once a year, and that's here. And so
Yeah, and that was more the case back in the day before social media, but certainly back in the 90s, before mainstream technology like the platform which you're seeing us on today, before that was real, we really did only see each other once a year. And now that, to come together, it's beautiful. It's actually even more effective because we don't have to do all that catch up, really, because we can just stay connected throughout the year. And, but the time that we spend together, praying together, meditating together, building consciousness, really supporting each other in that way, it has proven to be of tremendous value, which is why we continue to invest every year and come and be a part of the collective of this entire process. The New Thought Media Network has been a huge add for us in this way, and the continuation of it continuing to expand and populate its calendar to where it's going to be. And I see before too long 24 hours a day broadcast worldwide. I even understand Kenya's going to CSL Kenya in late January, and going to bring that CSL conference live to America. And Robert and his team have just doing amazing work there. And so we're so grateful to be a part of the unfoldment, the growing edge, really, as we talk about a lot. Allie and I kind of coined that phrase in our ministry years ago, growing edge live, the churning, the crust, the creation, the coming into being from the spiritual essence into time as the light waves thicken and create. We are the growing edge. We are the crust and the way that it's churning. And it's really a blessing to be able to embrace that, to open up our heart and to appreciate it unfolding. And it has been nothing less than amazing.
Yeah.
just our journey together, but also
It's so funny. You think of the growing edge as a crust. I don't. I think of the growing edge more to do with plant life, and to see a little sprout coming up through the earth, and like that's the growing edge. And I think as humans, our growing edge is our life. Whatever is happening in our life is our growth edge. And when we're talking about new thought and science of mind, we're always evolving intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. And so there's a lot of edges and a lot of growth to consider. But we're really happy to be here at this particular time to almost with the whole plant analogy to get some nourishment, to have some fertilizer that comes through the amazing music that we hear. And I can't believe this. I am doing a workshop in a couple of days, which I'm really excited about. And I heard Robert, from New Thought Media Network, approached me today and said, would you mind if we film it? And I was a little nervous because my workshop's doing something completely new for me, which is combining prayer and meditation and visioning with movement. And the title of my workshop is Sacred Soul Dance. And so it really is a growth edge for me. It's really pushing me out of my comfort zone to, as an introvert, I don't often include people in my dancing experience, other than my husband did. So I'm going to be leading a movement workshop that is going to be really pushing me on my growing edge here, particularly because I put my back out last week, and so we'll see how it goes. But you can find, I think New Thought Media Network is actually, are we airing this live? No, we're not. You would have to go onto the Anton website, that's antn.org, and you can actually sign up for the conference or for the retreat virtually, because not everything that we're doing here, but just about everything that we're doing here on campus at Unity Village is included in the online ticket. So you can go on to antn.org and purchase the retreat, and then
have almost as good a time as we are.
Almost. Well, it could be better. You could just stay in your pajamas all day and just watch. And then on Wednesday, I think it's in the afternoon, my workshop, it's Sacred Soul Dance, and you can get up and join in. And I'm going to be leading everyone through the 5 rhythms, which is an amazing ecstatic dance kind of method, which is fabulous. And then the whole main content of my workshop is going to be taking individuals through the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer as we know it, with movement. And so if you want to take your prayer to the next level, if you want to learn how to build coherence between your head center, your heart center, and your body center, then this workshop, Sacred Soul Dance, will be the catalyst, I believe, for you to take your prayer into a real embodied place. So join us Wednesday. You have to go to anton.org first of all and get a ticket, and then you can join us and be a part of this amazing community and see what we're both raving about.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to take a really short break, and we're going to come back with Reverend Bobby Kyser. So thanks for being here. See you in a minute.
free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge, on the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Back. And I am no longer sitting next to my beautiful husband. I'm here with Reverend Bobby Kyser. Now, Bobby and I just met for the first time, and he was introduced by a friend of ours, Martha Creek.
Yes.
And I am so happy that she introduced us, because I instantly felt a connection with you. You've got a really great quality of being able to maintain eye contact, and I really appreciate that. It's almost like I'm looking into your soul.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Grateful to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we're here at Unity Village, if you just popped on, at the affiliated New Thought Network annual retreat. And so, my guest, let me see if I can remember all of the great points on his bio. And if I don't, you can help me to remember.
I'll jump right in.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
just
not
talk
afraid.
about that. So many years ago, Bobby was living in Florida, and he had a whole career life, really, being an insurance agent,
Mhm.
and then sort of jumped tracks and took an entrepreneurial way forward in creating a company called Panache Style,
Yes.
in which you did events and weddings and all kinds of things. I'm sure that we can talk a bit about that in the second part of the show. And then at some point you found Unity and went through those doors, and we'll talk about that too. But since then, you've taken a whole journey down the rabbit hole of Unity, and you're actually now an ordained minister, and you are just about to take a leap forward with your ministry. And so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that myself, and I'm looking forward to watching to see how this whole thing evolves for
Yes,
you.
and it will be. It will be. Divine will.
Yeah.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to Growing Edge Live.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's great to be at Unity Village always.
Yeah.
And then when Martha asked me would I be interested, of course I screamed, yelled, and shouted, yes!
Yes,
Of course! You know I do.
Yeah. So we're here at the Unity Village Hotel,
Yes.
and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I hear that you had something to do with all of this.
Yes. I was actually, I'd received the call to ministry and came here. I was one of the last classes here to do a live residence at the seminary. So I was very, very blessed to be a part of that. And while I was here, they caught wind that I had worked with hotels and hospitality. And they came to me and said, would you have an interest in bidding on redoing the hotel? So, and I've done a lot of projects, but a 50-room hotel that's a pretty big project for me to do while I'm in seminary, right? So it was a little crazy, but I just felt that calling. It was one of those things. I called my friend who's a designer in Miami, and I said, we've got an opportunity here. Are you interested? And he said, I can tell you the answer is yes, right now. I already know I want to be a part of this. So we did a proposal for them, and we called it 50 Rooms of Inspiration. The blessing to that whole project was the fact that I'd already received my call to ministry. So I had that deep conscious connection already. So when I was able to redo the hotel, it wasn't like an outside vendor who came in to do the hotel who didn't understand the dynamics of a retreat or any type of thing that would, a convention that would elevate consciousness. So I was able to, along with my friend Robert Tabor, and I'll give him a shout out because he's an incredible designer from Miami. He and I together came into this hotel. We just walked through it. We just said, let's make each room inspiring. Let's put words in the room. We want them to feel affirmative the second they walk in the door with whatever it is. And it's kind of interesting now when we did the project, it was a long 3 months. They gave us 3 months to do the entire project, which was quite a short time to do such a big project. But what was interesting is the first guest that came here said, we want to come back again because we want to see what words we get on our wall.
Yes,
So
yes.
now we didn't realize that was going to be a draw. So when someone gets here now, if it's inspiration and faith, that's kind of their affirmative words that they use and focus on and symbolize during their stay here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got dream and harmony.
See?
Yeah,
It's
and
funny.
it is. It's
You remember that,
lovely.
which is so
I
amazing.
do. And
Yeah.
you know, so that work that you did has a ripple out effect and continues to bless those 50, 100 occupants that are making their way
That
through
journey.
at any time.
And we had no idea we
Yeah.
were honestly going
Oh
to
my
make that much of an impact. So
Yeah.
it was truly divine order doing its work in that, for sure.
Wow, you make a little heart print on everyone that comes. You have to come and see these rooms. They're
You
really,
do.
really
They're
lush.
really beautiful.
They're really lush.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Great linens.
Yeah, good linens,
One
good
thing I showed, they
everything.
said, well, we cannot do cheap linen. We have to, we have to have amazing linens on these beds. So when you climb into them, they're like, oh, yeah, you feel snuggled and safe in that
Yeah.
beautiful luxury.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, what your career up to this point, or your careers up to this point, have just been so enriching for you as far as, now here you are as about to be the minister, the lead minister of a community. Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so where did all this start? Like, who was little Bobby?
Who was little Bobby? Well, little Bobby grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and little Bobby was in a very traditional state, right? So it was, being colorful Bobby was very difficult. And I knew something was a little bit different about me when I was in my, young teens. And I felt that, I was having emotions and feelings that probably weren't normal as what they would consider them, at least in the state of Kentucky, right? So I had a very, very beautiful family that was supportive and loving with me, but I also had a family that was very religious. They were very deep Southern Baptist, and they had a very literal Bible. So they were following along with these boundaries and realms that I was supposed to maintain. So as I started becoming more colorful, it was a question of how does he fit into this culture, this traditional religious Southern Baptist culture, coming out as a colorful being, right, at that point. So it was tough. I'll tell you, I went to a lot of churches, from evangelical to Baptist, and after a lot of time spending time at these churches, the shame that I was getting from literal Bible was really starting to affect me, and I didn't realize that at the time. But it was starting to sink me. I could feel the air just coming out of my lungs, and it was just a really tough time. And so there came a point in my life, I graduated college and did everything my mom wanted me to do. And there was a point and I said, I need to do something different. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this environment, this atmosphere, because I feel like just like a flower needs fertilizer, as you talked earlier, to grow, I need this fertilizer, and I believe there's something greater in me. So I packed up my goods. I was an insurance agent at the time, had been with Allstate almost, I think 17 or 18 years at that point, was a very successful top agent in the state, doing great. And I just called him one day and I said, I'm selling and leaving. So I ended up selling my agency, and I packed my duds and moved to Fort Lauderdale. So I don't know that there could be a better place than Fort Lauderdale for me to show my true colors. So I said, I want to go. I just want to be gay. I want to be me. I want to be happy. And so when I got there, I took a whole year just to settle into that space, to feel the energy, to feel the love that I had surrounding me, that I could be who I wanted to be. The first time in my life, I could, carry a rainbow flag, and it felt good and safe, right? So I ended up, after a year, I kept having this draw to do events, weddings and events. So I started a company called Panache Style. And it started out as a small company. It was a beautiful opportunity for me to go out. I already was feeling a little bit of a ministry call there, but I never really really never had an opportunity to figure out where that needed to go. So I started doing that. In the middle of that, of course, gay weddings became legal.
Yeah.
So that was an opportunity for me to really start digging deeper and going, wait, what more is there for me in this? So I found a church called Unity of Fort Lauderdale. And this awesome church was so amazing. They had just sold their building. They were on the water. They had a beautiful building on the water, and they had sold it because they had outgrown it. So they were actually staying in a hotel at the time, doing their services every week. And we're talking 350 people. So I walked in the door, and I'll never forget it. They were playing these high energy songs. They had some of the people that played for them was actually Gloria Estefan's band who lived there. So we got in there, and I was like, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. I mean, it was just like I can remember that. I got chills just thinking about that energy that I received the second I walked into that church. And then as soon as I heard the minister and all of her message, I went, okay, wait, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I stayed with that church. I started serving them. I started doing the things that, that you do when you find a church that you resonate with.
Yeah.
I felt a conscious calling at that point of some sort, but I didn't know what it was. So I became a prayer chaplain. And so the prayer chaplain was kind of my first level. And I can remember the first time. Have you ever heard of a thing called a car wash?
Yeah.
It's a car wash. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a spiritual car wash is when people line up and then you walk down in the middle of it. And as you walk down, you close your eyes and they guide you. And as they're guiding you, they're whispering things in your ear, positive affirmations. And I can remember I almost passed out by the end. I had never felt that amount of love, in my life by that many other people at once. And it was incredible. And so a few years later, my friend, the same person that helped me actually design this hotel, he came to me and he said, Bobby, are you paying attention? And I said, what are you talking about? Are you paying attention to where you are right now? He said, you are glowing in this church. You need to notice that. And that was the shift for me. That's when I made a decision. I need to start thinking about ministry and what that looks like. Yeah, what that looks like. So.
Wow, what a journey. And
Yes.
what a revelation. And what a coming home.
Yes.
And what an opportunity to find yourself as never before and feel so loved and so supported and so embraced and accepted for who you are and given a platform to be able to express that kind of passion.
That's what it was.
Wow.
It was.
Well, we're going to come back in just a couple of minutes. So stay tuned.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Unity Village live at the affiliated New Thought Network annual retreat with this beautiful new friend of mine, Reverend Bobby, and we are just kind of getting into it. So you talked about your journey, your experience at a Unity church. What happened?
Yeah, well, I had been doing a few SEE, they call them SEE, which is, getting yourself prepared for the ministry of some sort. And I didn't know what that was going to look like at the time. I never saw myself for sure as a minister in a church. I really didn't. I just thought, growing deeper within the church, but not as a leader in the church. And so I had been doing the program, and I met Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselback, who was the dean at the time, also gay, and I just connected to him. He and I really connected, and so I called him and I said, I think I want to come for the ministerial program. I said, what do you think about that? And he said, well, you better get your ass here right now, because he said, I'm telling you right now, we are closing down in a year the live site, and we're going to go to online. So if you want to be on site at the well, of course, there's no doubt. I needed to be in the presence of this sacred ground. I needed to be in the Charles and Myrtle Fillmore history. So I literally, within 6 weeks, I put my business up for sale. I sold my fourplex. I had 20 employees. I had an incredible, beautiful, beautiful business, just filled with a team that was so conscious and beautiful. And it was a huge decision for me. It truly has to be a calling when you're willing to give all that up, And so I came here, started the program, went through the program, and got redirected after my first year.
Oh, wow.
They said, we don't think you're ready to be a minister yet.
Oh.
And this was probably one of the most difficult
my
things in my
gosh.
life. I'd given up my life, my business, my family to be a part of this. And I thought, what did I do wrong? So I went, of course, got a therapist. I got a spiritual direction counselor. I got a life coach. I'm like, an Enneagram 3 performer achiever. So I've got to figure this out. What did I do wrong? Who am I not showing up as? And it was the best 2 years of my life as I refinished that, because I was able to go down and find the shame that I had held on to growing up in that. It was such a difficult thing. And I realized I had not worked through that. And this opportunity, while it seemed like a bad, was when they say God is all good and everywhere present, it was truly that decision that was made may not have been what they thought it was, but for me, it was an opportunity to shift my life, grab a hold of that moment and go, okay, how am I going to take this into the next chapter? Because as a minister, ministerial candidate, to get redirected, it feels tough. It feels tough. So after that 2 years, I remember going to my psychologist, and I said, I need to pay for and reschedule another session. And she said, no, you're done. You've done the work, Bobby. You've done the work. And I can remember leaving that day just in tears, thinking, my God, what an incredible journey I've been blessed with, all because Unity, all because I found out about this New Thought teaching that is no longer shaming me, that is no longer taking me to a place where I feel I'm not worthy to be in this world in many instances. And so it was at that point that I was able to meet a minister, Reverend Myra McFadden, and she was my intern minister. And she told me, she said, Bobby, I see something great in you. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. And so for 3 months, I worked with her, and she really elevated me to a level that I thought, could I do a pulpit ministry? Is that something maybe that I could consider? And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. So, I put that on the back burner. I said, no, I don't think that's what it's going to be. So in the meantime, the CEO of Unity World Headquarters came to me and he said, I saw what you did at the hotel, and I think there might be something for you to do for us here at the World Headquarters. So he reached out to me. I gave him my resume, and within about 2 months, I was hired as the Vice President of Hospitality over the Unity World Headquarters.
Wow.
And that was a huge, really thrust for me and my spiritual opportunity, not because it was different than the ministry, right? It was like using my gifts and my tools at the same time being in my ministry.
Yeah.
So I was able to spearhead and run the hotel. I was able to be in charge of the bookstore, the Starbucks bookstore. I was in charge of weddings and retreats and also food services. And so it became a ministry for me that was so far beyond what I could ever imagine, because now I had 450 events coming on staff, on site. And so my staff and I were able to really work our consciousness into all of these retreats.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine what that was like?
No, I
That
can't.
was such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I used to do events, when I was much younger, and it's a lot of work. It's the communicating with the people and hundreds of people sometimes. But the impact, like we talked about, the ripple out, like the rooms. Just those words and the imprints that they have, times 100 with all of the conferences, the retreats that go on here, just so much. You've made a difference somehow, probably behind the scenes, many of the times.
Many
right?
times. That's what got me in trouble.
So now, with all of that, with all of the consciousness that you've poured into your time of serving here at Unity Village, and in that capacity, you've made such a big difference behind the scenes, and maybe not behind the scenes sometimes, meeting leaders from different groups and
everywhere.
You've met so many people. You probably, your Rolodex is just like,
it honestly was an incredible time. Yeah, it was a beautiful time. There's a kind of sad ending to the story, so I'll share that with you before we get to the brightness again, right? Yeah, that's evolution, right? Evolution, right? Awakenings, all of those things. So I've been here a couple of years, and I felt there was something not going the right way, and something's just, you feel that offness that comes about, and so unfortunately, I got released from my position here, and that was a tough time for me, because I'd invested my life. I'd gotten married by then. I had a house here. I was really deeply invested. I had 45 incredible employees that I just so connected to. Like, we built up this incredible, you get to be a part of all the things I created, the ballrooms we recreated, and the staff and the leadership teams and the consciousness and shift. And I just could not understand, what did I do? What was it that did not resonate with this property anymore? And so it's funny, after that happened, I'd been having some trouble with my family back in Louisville. And so I made a decision. I talked to my husband. I said, I think this is a time for me to go back. Maybe I need to go home and just kind of breathe into this. What just happened? I'm a performer, achiever, Enneagram 3, right? I've never been fired in my life. I owned the businesses. I didn't get fired from them, right? So what a shift for me. And what a beautiful, now that I look back, I told my friend, I said, it ended up being I said, it was a blessing for me. He said, no, you made it a blessing for you. Because when I got back, I found my mom severely addicted to narcotics. I found my nephew was a drug addict, and they let me share this because it's part of our story. So I'm not speaking out of confidentiality here, but I came back and my family was a hot mess, honestly, and it was scary for me. It was really scary, and so I knew ministry was there. I knew I had a ministry. It was like my family. I'd never devoted this much energy into my family. So we worked on that for 2 years. My mom is a whole different person now. It's a beautiful, beautiful space to see her in. It was a big challenge. My nephew has been clean now for 2 years. We got him into a program and I've watched him. It's my only, I only have one sister, so, and he's the only child. So it's the only person in my family I feel like that I'm going to have down the road, right? Yeah. So other than my sister. So watching that was such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then I got the call from Unity of Louisville saying, would you like to be, consider being a minister here? And I told him no. I told him no.
You already have a full-time job.
I said, I do. I'm not. I'd become a real estate agent at that point. I thought, no. I said I don't want to do pulpit ministry, but you know how the Spirit works. It doesn't allow you to accept that kind of answer. So about 12 months went by, and they called me again, and I said, I got to breathe into this. Let me think about this. I don't. This is scary, right? I don't know if I can connect to that many people at once, And I'd already had a negative experience with an organization at this point. So the next morning, it was loud as a bell. It's time. I'm like, no, shut up. I don't want to hear that. It's not time. I don't want to do this. This is not where I am. And so, of course, I picked up the phone and called and said, yes, I think it's time for me now. So that was last January. So it's been now it's a long process with Unity Ministers.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. It's a long. So, but the hiring committee recommended me to the board this week. So.
Oh well, congratulations!
Thank you.
So, are you already working there?
I've been speaking there.
Okay.
Martha Creek, as she always does, would never let me just sit at home, right? She's like, you need to be out ministering to churches. And so she sends out an email to, I don't know how many churches. I don't know. They were coming in from all over the country saying, Bobby is available to speak. Bobby's available to speak. So next thing you know, I'm speaking in churches all over the Ohio Valley and Cincinnati and Nashville and, Kansas City and Louisville. And I'm speaking at all these churches, every week, a different one. And so I did that for about a year before I actually accepted the invitation at Unity of Louisville. And it was fun. It created a whole different, see churches all over and the different dynamics and how they work. It's exciting. I mean, I think as ministers, we don't often get that to do that once you're in a place. Right. So I feel like it's been like a kind of an initial spring for me to springboard me into this.
Wow, what a journey you've been on. What highs and lows, what a roller coaster, what opportunities for you to build consciousness and to be sure and confident in your decision to accept this amazing, generous invitation.
Yeah.
So how do you think you'll organize your ministry? If you've taken, some time, obviously, since January, you've taken some time to think about how you're going to move into this position and roll out your program if you get a chance to. I don't know if, what the minister gets to do, but what are some of the things that you...
Well, I've had to be careful because remember, I'm an Enneagram 3, so I move fast. I want to achieve, right? So I actually did not allow myself until August to start really thinking about what does the ministry, how do I want to show up, and what do I see this ministry as? And we use some terms in Unity called minister-centric or integral ministry, which is, or minister, they call it a mission-centric or integral, or a minister. Minister-centric being very focused on the minister, or integral or mission-centric, very focused on the mission of that church. And I 100% am very mission. I move around fast, and I hope maybe I'll be there for 10 years, who knows. But whatever time I'm there, I want to build a model. I want to build a base for them that is sustainable, that is movable. I'm very blessed in that I not only have a consciousness as a minister, but I have business sense. I've ran multi-million-dollar businesses and created them. So my excitement in this is to go in and be able to share my knowledge, but not be the one making all the decisions. The first thing I'll do is, just like I did here at Unity when I was a VP here, is I'll create a leadership team, kind of my group, not a board, not another committee, but a team that supports me, that I can bounce things off of, because I don't want it to become the Bobby show, the Bobby controls, the Bobby this. It needs to be a very harmonious and yet connected a leadership group that we bring in together, that starts creating direction for that church. It's really super poised. Of all the churches I've seen, they're very poised to be able to elevate quickly and grow fast. They have basically been running themselves very, very mission centric, as they didn't realize it, but they have been, because they haven't really had other than a transitional minister, they haven't had a regular minister for about 2 years now. So they've had to learn to be sustainable to a sense. So I feel like I'm coming in at an incredible time for them. And I want to create models. I want to create, I really believe that I've got some ideas that I believe they will support, and that we can maybe use these to help other churches to grow into, that maybe doesn't have the business knowledge, that they have the consciousness, but need just a little bit of guidance for that, and to be able to elevate that church to the level it is. And it doesn't always seem to me to be about growth. I think it's about how much deep connection can we have within each other. I think the other thing will naturally and organically
take care of itself. Oh my gosh, they are blessed to have you.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to watching.
Yes.
Is it online every Sunday?
It is online.
Okay.
It is online. I will be a part-time in the beginning, so I'll be on twice a month, and then they've got 2 ministers there who are just the bomb, and they'll be each doing once a month. And that was really attractive to me because I own property, and I've got apartments and Airbnbs, and so not that I won't be focused on it, but honestly, I want to still say in the beginning, I have these other things that support me in a way from a business perspective. They enrich me and grow me in lots of ways. So, it's exciting.
So with all of this, with all of the experience that you've shared, with your journey, and now making this decision to accept this position, what kind of growing edge thoughts, what kind of things have you learned about just you and being a human being, being a spiritual being, having this amazing human experience? What kind of nuggets or pearls of wisdom or things would you like to share with this audience who's watching? Things that you've gathered along the way that you think are like key, important principles or factors or things that you could take into any, not just into becoming the senior minister somewhere, but just in life in general.
In everyday life. I would say the number one thing for me that I've learned through this process, and is the most difficult based on the type personality I am, is just to be engaged, to be present, to be mindful. I think that's the hardest thing for me to do. I tend to be anxious and always excited and ready. Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselback would tell you I have probably an overdeveloped power of zeal, and that I can get excited really fast, and I want to blow things up. And so I think if there was any nuggets, it would be just to not, as No Bad Parts, that book says, not to shame that zeal part of me, but to embrace it, acknowledge it, know it, and then be able to step back and know that there's this other part of me that's really urging to be out, and that's this, to be in the moment, to be present, to just slow down and just allow myself. I was driving the other day, and I used to, everywhere I went, I was, driving in my truck, fast, get there, get there. And I went, oh my God, I've become a grandma driver. I looked down and cars are all lined up behind me. And maybe I got a honk. Maybe that was why. And I'm like, what has happened to me? I mean, I've become like almost peaceful and settled and calm. And who is this person? And it was really exciting for me. It was a little epiphany of going, wow, look at what has happened. And a lot of that has happened in the last 6 months. Another little nugget I would say is look for opportunities in your life that give you a chance to find that growth. This whole process of becoming a minister, the first thing that hit me was, I think I show up messy sometimes. You know, I can be a little edgy. I'm from Kentucky. I say a lot of cuss words, and, you know, I'm just kind of raw in a lot of ways. And is that how I want to show up in my church? Is that how? So now I'm noticing that question in more places in my life. Is that how I want to show up in the conversation? How do I want to show up with you in this very moment? I think I want to be authentic. I think I want to release and let go of any ideas that I need to be a certain way, but just be in this moment.
Yeah, and that comes with personal discovery. And I think you're talking about the internal family systems with Dr. Dick Schwartz, and he introduces the notion, you know, we can discover these parts of our personality within us, and parts of our history, parts of us that maybe we haven't given enough time to. So there is this rougher side in you, right? And there's this beautiful Zen guy there too, right?
Yes.
So there's all these different aspects of our personality that when we take the time to do the inner work, shine the light of awareness within, we start to recognize them and sort of discover them and see, you know, like becoming more conscious about, you know, when is it time for that rough guy to show up? And when is it, you know, maybe it's less of the time, or, you know, in some instances it could be that more assertive part of our personality gets to show up more often for those that are more meek and quiet. So, you know.
And knowing they're there in many ways to serve us and protect us.
Yeah.
And so how do we connect to that? And unbeknownst to me, I was starting to do that even before. Of course, you know, I'm in that program now, or I think I shared that with you, with Martha Creek, the immersion program. So, and that's what it's all about, that book, No Bad Parts. And as I started doing the work, and I actually started before because, again, I'm a former achiever, right? So as soon as I got the book, I'm already writing it down, and she didn't even give homework yet. And I started writing down all of these sides of me. And I couldn't quit writing. I'm like, oh gosh, there's the anger part, and there's the shameful part, and there's the bad part, and then there's the faithful part, and there's the loving part. So I found all these, and so it's been very interesting seeing how I can connect these parts. And as I thought, it was so weird, I'm like, I'm having conversations with myself. Have I got multiple personalities, or what's going on? I mean, honestly, I called Martha. I said, this seems kind of weird. She goes, that's your afraid part. Of course it is. Your part's afraid. It's afraid to go deep. And so talk to that part and put it with your loving part and your safe part. And so it's been a really fun journey, learning and discovering that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you're interested in knowing more about the program with Martha Creek that you're talking about, the immersion program, we can supply you with that information. And how do people get in touch with you?
They can go to my website, which is Bobby Kyser, BobbyKyser.com. And then, of course, my email is BobbyKyser1, that's BobbyKyser, @gmail.com.
Awesome. And do you take clients? Do you work with people?
I do, and that's on my website. They can book me, and we can talk and chat and love and do all the things we do.
Yeah. Well, it's been such an honor and a pleasure and a privilege having this conversation.
So very
I feel like this is something that's sparked a new friendship. So thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today. We are going to be back next week with an amazing Holly Hill. She is, it's a little different next week. She is a lactation specialist. I know her. She does amazing work in the area that I live in with young mothers, and changed. So stay tuned. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, New Thought Media Network, and thank you to Michael Benjamin for being on the show earlier. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.